Hello, this is Hef Munson, producer of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Since our studio session was set for the day after New Year's, our regular cast and crew is taking the week off. However, since the show must go on, here's the news. First news story is about dockless corrals. Now, part of the appeal of the new dockless scooters was that they could be left just about anywhere. But it turns out that anywhere got to be kind of a mess. Accordingly, Arlington County has created some scooter corrals to help minimize the nuisance. There are 7 storage locations so far, generally marked with spray paint to indicate the specific area for the scooters to be left. Current locations include Ballston at North Stewart Street and 9th Street North, Courthouse at Clarendon Boulevard and North Yulee Street, Crystal City at 18th Street South and South Bell Street, Pentagon City at South Hayes Street and 12th Street South, Roslyn at North Lynn Street and Fairfax Drive, and also at North Lynn Street and 19th Street North, Virginia Square at North Monroe Street and 9th Street North. In addition, George Mason University has set up a similar corral near its Virginia Square campus. In 2019, the middle school at 4100 Vacation Lane will open under the name Dorothy Ham Middle School. The building was the former home of the H.B. Woodlawn program, also known colloquially as Hippie High. Although the renaming hasn't been as controversial as that of the high school known as W&L, the school board did have to contend with some residents who noted the integration breakthrough associated with the school's prior name. Dorothy Ham was chosen because of her role in the integration process itself, and her children attended the school soon after its success. One of Miss Ham's children was quoted as saying that she was, and again I quote, not interested in having her mom's name on the school. However, since Miss Ham herself passed away in 2004, the board felt that the selection was an appropriate way to commemorate her life and contributions. There was a shooting last Sunday, December 30th, just after 7:00 p.m. near the intersection of South Glebe Road and Arlington Ridge Road. The victim, a male, suffered injuries that were deemed life-threatening. Caution is advised because there were no suspects at the time of the initial report, and few details are available. More bad news. This one's about an armed carjacking. 2 men brandished weapons. One of them had a gun, the other had a knife, during a carjacking that took place on the 2600 block of Crystal Drive on December 22nd. The driver was ordered out of his car, and the attackers drove off in the stolen vehicle. Police described the suspects as a pair of black males, both approximately 5'5" to 5'7", both with a thin build and both with short black hair. Curiously, there was no description or identifying information about the stolen vehicle itself. Seems like that might be a good thing to look for. Here's something for CBB. Here's a chance for kids aged 3 to 6 to learn all about the amazing creatures that live in the frozen North and South Poles, while they're still frozen anyway. This may seem like a joke, but consider that a 3-year-old in 2019 may well live to see Earth conditions 60 or 70 years in the future. Anyway, the presentation is called Penguins and Polar Bears, and it'll take place on Thursday, January 10th, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. at Gulf Branch Nature Center and Park at 3608 North Military Road. Admission is $5. For older kids and adults, there's An Evening with Atlas Obscura Society DC. It's all about the secret histories and overlooked places in the DC metro area. Admission is free. All you need is a sense of curiosity about adventuring and the hidden historical gems that are closer than you think. That's on Monday, January 14th, from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. And that is in the Westmont room of the Columbia Pike Branch Library at 816 South Walter Reed Drive. Now let's go ahead and do news for seniors. Quite a few of these. The Arlington Central Library has a book club for adults 55 years of age and older, led by a library volunteer. The group meets the first Friday of each month. February's book selection is Interpreter of Maladies, Stories by Jhumpa Lahiri. That meeting takes place on Friday, February 1st, from noon to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Central Library on North Quincy Street. For more information, call 703-228-4403. This one's on smartphone photography. If you're struggling with the camera feature on your smartphone, tablet, or other device, you will want to meet photography enthusiast Nick England. He will be conducting a demonstration on how to maximize the features that are on your device. That's on Wednesday, January 9th at 6:30 p.m. at the Arlington Mills Senior Center, which is located at 909 South Dinwiddie Street. To register, call 703-228-7369. Next up, we have a fitness demonstration. Madison Community Center's fitness coach, Andre Ashley, is offering a free fitness class demonstration. It will focus on agility, balance, and strength building. All fitness levels are invited. That's on Friday, January 11th at 2 o'clock p.m. at the Arlington Mills Senior Center, once again 909 South Dinwiddie Street. To register, call 703-228-7369. This next one's on hand therapy. Now, the benefits of handheld devices such as cell phones and video games are numerous, but sometimes result in overuse and pain in the hands and wrists. Occupational therapist and certified hand specialist Dr. Roshanak Hazanzadeh will share strategies, activity modifications, and preventive options commonly used in hand therapy. That's on Friday, January 11th at 10 o'clock a.m. at the Walter Reed Community Center. That's located at 2909 16th Street South. To register, call 703-228-0955. Here's something about organizing documents. Many of us are overwhelmed with all the information stored in our heads, on our phones, in file cabinets, and safe deposit boxes. Kay Branford, President and Chief Curator of Memory Bank, will discuss which documents are important, how they should be organized, when to share this information with loved ones, and how to clean out unneeded documents. That's on Monday, January 14th at 1 o'clock p.m. at the Langston Brown Senior Center, located at 2121 North Culpeper Street. To register, call 703-228-6300. As always, we'd like to thank Judy Masabny for contributing our senior stories. I'm going to close, or somewhat close, with some more ruminations. Back in April 1981, Arlington's public access channel broadcast its first program. It was decided that residents would benefit from a local weekly news show, and the Arlington Weekly News began. From 1981 to early 2016, the show continued under the guidance of producer Don Hammond. Don established the show's format, oversaw the content, and coordinated the efforts of a gradually changing cast and crew. When Don was stricken with his final illness, he asked if the show could go on, so I stepped in. The Arlington Weekly News has always been more than just news, so I've tried to continue with Don's approach, a combination of news, community announcements, and a showcase for local performers. But underneath it all, we remain committed to bringing you news, events, and analysis that you can take seriously and that you may not get from any other single source. For example, here's some footage from one source, ATV, Arlington County's television channel.
Arlington Independent Media. We've heard from a lot of supporters of Arlington Independent Media, and so This guidance is designed to address, I think, what is probably going to be a structural problem going forward, which is that PEG, public education government funding that we receive related to cable television franchise fees is declining. Please, should I pause?
No, I just wanted to ask for clarification because this thought just occurred to me, which is that the board is adding back $70,000 and then asking for $35,000 in additional dollars from outside parties, because I just want to make sure that the guidance speaks to that clearly. Okay, so.
Mr. Dorsey and I were talking about this very thing earlier. I am open to kind of tweaking either now at this table or amendments on Saturday to make this as clear as possible without being so excessively prescriptive in the guidance that it hamstrings county staff to work out the details. I will tell you what I am envisioning, based on conversations I've had with each of my colleagues, is that the county would provide $70,000 in additional one-time funding contingent on Arlington Independent Media matching the county's $70,000 with at least $35,000 additional. And that would be done through, it doesn't need to be a distinct and designated match campaign, simply non-governmental revenues.
This footage does delineate the decision that had to be made. Here's some follow-up footage that appeared to demonstrate how that decision turned out.
We can go to, I guess, 3, the AIM guidance, which doesn't meet our usual standards for being short.
Brevity.
So there's a lot to unpack here. No criticism, I know there's a lot to do.
There are fewer items, but more in each one.
There we go. So, Mr. Manager, question primarily for you. How would you see a match program being evaluated by staff? We're losing a cable administrator, correct?
Yes.
So who would verify that the requirements for any match, however we construct, have been met? Who would?
So I've had maybe a 20-second conversation with the county attorney on this, which is that we would structure some sort of grant agreement with AIM that says they would receive the $70,000 upon some condition that we would include in the grant that would show enhanced fundraising above the current level that they have, and lay out some tests for them to meet to show that that had happened, if that's your question.
It is. That's way too complicated for me, I gotta say, colleagues. I think it's not our line of business. It just, quite frankly, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I think you could do something a lot cleaner. First of all, that the $70,000 is held in abeyance until that objective, that milestone is reached, to me seems somewhat punitive. What I would encourage us to do is to think about an allocation and setting a fundraising target for them to demonstrate at the conclusion of the year to be eligible to apply for funding in future years. The whole idea that we are going to develop the competency and have the wherewithal to evaluate whether the criteria for a match was met is just not what we do. So I would encourage us to move away from that. If we want a level of accountability and showing that they have made an effort that has produced results, then I think you make contingent future funding, not this year's. And then.
So could I pause there, actually? One of the interesting things about being chair is that your proposed work product is the best effort to incorporate a lot of different perspectives. I don't feel strongly about it, and I would associate myself with your comments, and in fact would maybe propose a way to integrate that now. But I'd like to give my colleagues who felt more strongly about a match an opportunity to comment on their position on it. All right, hearing none.
I would just say, with respect to the match, I'm certainly open to some adjustments, some structural rethinking, but I think a match, honestly, I mean, at least one of the things that I like to think about and I like to look at when we're evaluating partnerships with all our nonprofits is what is their base of support in the community and what has come up from the grassroots membership of that nonprofit, and how are they doing in broadening their support base from other than county funds. And so to me, this is an important component. And I have to say, I was struck, and pleasantly so, by the great outpouring and demonstration of community support for AIM, not just on the part of the AIM infrastructure, if you will, but so many other people in the community who could speak about it. And I think about the benefits of a very robust community television and radio and media system. And if all that energy could be concentrated and harnessed in an ongoing fundraising capacity via this match, I think it would be terrific. And while AIM has stepped up its revenue gains in recent years, I think that this really affords them the opportunity to kick it up to a new level. Thank you.
So I might suggest, I think a way forward actually is, I think what Mr. Dorsey had suggested with regard to their eligibility for additional funding in fiscal 20 would be dependent on the achievement of that match, might honor the sort of spirit that's motivating what Mr. Weissstatz just commented on, but perhaps be more technically possible to implement. So I might encourage you, Mr. Dorsey, if you're able, either during this conversation or shortly thereafter, to perhaps put that in writing. We'll go ahead and just incorporate it in what's posted in terms of the guidance, and then we don't even need to take a necessarily formal amendment about it on Saturday. That works.
That's fine. I wasn't
No, I
finished.
appreciate. I'm just thinking about this because it's new, and I really appreciate all this. I think the most important thing that we want to do, and I agree that the outpouring of support and thing is great, but make really clear that moving forward we can't keep doing it the same way we've been doing it, and bringing up the fact that this study and looking at it, we've got 3 separate kind of public television stations is something we really do need to look at. So as long as the message gets across to folks that we have to do things differently, I think I'm probably fine. Mr. Dorsey's probably correct. It's maybe not worth the effort to try to track it. So thank you.
You may notice that the comments made it sound like AIM's $70,000 in restored funding would have no strings attached, and that the $35,000 from non-governmental sources would be required for fiscal year 2020. However, here's our subsequent inquiry to the county and the following response. We asked, is AIM the only PEG channel being required to fundraise? If so, how is this requirement justified? The answer came back. There are 3 PEG channels supported by local tax dollars: AIM, ATV, and AETV. As ATV and AETV serve as part of the communications offices of county government and Arlington Public Schools as an inherently governmental function, they do not solicit private donations to supplement revenues. While there is no obligation for AIM to fundraise, given the continued decline in revenue from the franchise agreements and the fact that AIM expenses have exceeded funding levels provided by Arlington County, AIM has historically had fundraising as a component of supporting its operations. In the adopted fiscal year 2019 budget, the county board did require AIM to show a level of fundraising in order to receive an additional amount of taxpayer funding above the recommendation of the county manager in his proposed budget. Now that makes it sound like the money is tied to fiscal year 2019. I sent a follow-up email to Katie Crystal with some more questions. What is the time frame during which AIM is required to meet the fundraising requirement? Second question, how is the term fundraising defined? Your remarks mentioned non-governmental sources, which some people have interpreted to include AIM membership dues, facility rental revenues from both commercial clients and AIM producers, as well as actual solicited donations. And the third question is, what documentation is required for AIM to demonstrate compliance with the $35,000 requirement? I received the following reply from Katie Crystal. I appreciate your faith in board members' command of all the extensive administrative detail on each issue in Arlington, and I wish I could live up to that expectation. Unfortunately, in order for me to get you fulsome answers to your detailed and multi-part questions, I have to be able to pull in and delegate to our colleagues from the board office and county manager's office. I really appreciate your understanding. To your reiterated question of the board's fiscal 19 direction and guidance, the expectation of the match applied in fiscal year 2019, the budget under discussion at the time of adoption. we'll have to consider fiscal year 2020 separately in the upcoming year. Now, what's the difference between the three PEG channels? Here it is in a nutshell. Viewers who watch ATV, the county government channel, will be provided with useful information and updates that the county government wishes them to have, but not all of the news that might be seen as unfavorable to the county. Similarly, AETV is the voice of Arlington County school system, and it is certainly a useful resource for information that the schools wish to provide. By contrast, AIM was established to be the voice of the regular residents of Arlington County, the homeowners, the renters, the taxpayers, the people not necessarily employed by either the county or the school system, although all residents are invited to participate. AIM's programs allow individuals to appear as both producers and guests so that everyone has their say. That is the unique service that AIM provides to the residents of Arlington. It's your channel. We'll close with something else you won't find on other news shows. A nice song to provide some comfort through the dark winter nights. Here it is. Thank you for watching this bare bones edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. We'll have the regular cast and crew back next week to do it properly. Good night.